Did I pull for Cantarella? Absolutely. Not only does she play a key role in the story and lore of Renacita, but she's way better than I thought and a lot more versatile. So if you've been looking for a guide on Cantarella, I got you. We have a lot to cover, so let's not waste any time and dive right into it. If you are debating on pulling for her, strengths do include being a flexible sub-DPS support character, not only for Havoc teams, but also with her coordinated attacks. It makes her pretty viable for a number of characters. Number 2, she can provide healing through her enhanced basic and Forte circuit attacks. Number 3, I already know I mentioned the coordinated attacks, but having any character with coordinated attacks is great for the off-field damage. And lastly, she has great future potential, not only because she's a support character, but the amount of damage that she can deal is pretty good too. I know some people would include that she's great for world exploration because she can swim faster in water and drains less stamina. And the people creating drama around this saying that she's a pay-to-win character, I'm sorry, you're brain dead. Everyone has access to flight, everyone has access to gondolas. We have multiple ways to traverse the map that are going to be a lot faster than Cantarella. And to be honest, I didn't see anybody complaining about Shorekeeper or Phoebe's, so saying that she is the problem because of the water stuff is absolutely ridiculous. For Cantarella's combat roles, she falls under support and healer, with having better concerto efficiency, higher basic attack damage, excels at coordinated attacks, and also amplifies Havoc and resonance skill damage on outro. And here are all the materials you're going to need to get her up to max level. The Polygon core can be found on Renacita echoes that don't fall under the humanoid or animal type echoes, and again, we have such a variety of them that it'll be pretty easy to track them down. For the flower, we're going to need the new Seaside Cendrillus, which can be found in collection spots, and again, this is mainly going to be in the new area of Venalium. And for your overworld boss material, you're going to have to fight Lorelei here in the middle of the map for the Cleansing Conch. For what skills prioritize upgrading first on Cantarella, definitely her Forte circuit and Resonance Liberation. After that, your Resonance skill, then lastly, your normal attack and intro skill. And here are all the materials you're going to need to upgrade all of these skills. For the Helix material, your best bet is to do forgery challenges, specifically the one in Renacita, the Abyss of Initiation, because it will also drop the Polygon cores you're going to need. And for your Calamity boss material, you're going to have to fight the new weekly boss, Fertiles, for the Win Iris's Bloom material. To maximize Cantarella's damage and her healing, we need to understand exactly how her kit works. If you look at her Forte bar, it's cut up into 5 sections. This is Trance, and you gain a point every time you use your intro skill, your basic attack 3, your resonance skill, Graceful Step, which is your regular resonance skill, and you get 3 points from your resonance liberation. Also note, when you're in water, you also gain a point every 5 seconds. Her basic attack 3, mid-air attack, dodge counter, and resonance skill are all pretty simple. The main thing is gaining Trance so you can use the heavy attack Delusive Dive. When you have at least 1 stack of Trance, you can actually hold down your basic attack button to perform this heavy attack Delusive Dive, which will deal Havoc damage, and Cantarella will enter the Mirage state. As you can see, she summons this domain around her, which allows her to float in the air, and it changes all of her attacks. Now, her basic and heavy attack now turned into basic attack Phantom Sting, which has 3 consecutive attacks and can be performed in midair. You also have changes to her midair attack and dodge counter, but these aren't the main points. The main point now is that we can turn our Trance points into Shiver. If you look under her Forte bar, she actually has 3 jellyfish icons. That is Shiver. Anytime you hit a target with this enhanced basic attack, midair attack, or dodge counter, it will consume 1 point of Trance and turn it into Shiver. Also note that the 3rd hit of the basic attack will trigger 3 coordinated attacks, all dealing Havoc damage. Plus, whenever you hit the target with your basic attack Phantom Sting and consume the 1 point of Trance to turn it into Shiver, you also heal all nearby resonators in the team. Also, when you're in the Mirage state, you get a new resonance skill called Flickering Reverie, which is considered an echo skill. When being cast, you attack the target dealing Havoc damage and send them into Hazy Dream. Now, the reason it deals echo skill damage is going to have to deal with her weapon, which we will talk about later in the video. Now, Hazy Dream is interesting. It reduces the target's movement speed for 6.5 seconds. That's a long time. When the target takes damage, Jolt is triggered once, removing Hazy Dream to deal Havoc damage, considered basic attack damage. Attacks by other resonators in the team will not jolt a target influenced by Hazy Dream and will remove the Hazy Dream. Coordinated attacks and damage from utilities will not jolt a target. This essentially allows for an extra instance of damage while you're in the Mirage state. Also note that Mirage only lasts 8 seconds or when your Trance is depleted, so if you don't have any more stacks, you'll go back into her regular state. Now that you know how to gain Trance, enter the Mirage state, and turn Trance into Shiver, we can now use her Forte circuit attack, Perception Drain. If she has 3 points of Shiver when she's in Mirage, her resonance skill becomes Perception Drain. As you can see, the icon has changed and now is glowing. When you use it, it'll consume all Shiver to attack the target, dealing Havoc damage, considered basic attack damage, send the target into Hazy Dream, and heal all resonators in the team. This skill is also considered an echo skill. Also, as a bonus while you're in the Mirage state, her first inherent skill, Cure, increases increases the healing bonus by 20%. Now covering her Resonance Liberation, this is where we're going to gain the coordinated attack. So you'll attack the target dealing havoc damage considered basic attack damage, and you grant Diffusion to all resonators in the team. Casting this skill is also considered as casting an echo skill. Also take note, with her inherent skill, Poison, casting an echo skill gives a 6% havoc damage bonus for 10 seconds, stacking up to 2 times. That's a 12% havoc damage bonus just by using the skills and the Resonance Liberation that I mentioned that all are considered echo skills. Now coming back to the Diffusion part of her Resonance Liberation, when the resonator on the field deals damage to the target, it summons a Dreamweaver to perform a coordinated attack, dealing havoc damage considered basic attack damage. Within 3 seconds after the resonator deals damage, it summons 1 Dreamweaver per second up to a max of 21 Dreamweavers in total. Note, Dreamweavers themselves cannot trigger this effect. The effect itself lasts for 30 seconds or until all the Dreamweavers are gone. For her intro skill, you can either perform Ripple, which is just her normal intro skill, or if you're in the Mirage state, when you enter the intro, you perform Tidal Surge, which also triggers 3 coordinated attacks on hit. That's not even the cool part. After you cast your intro skill, Cantarella enters Abyssal Rebirth, which lasts for 25 seconds and can be activated once every 25 seconds. In the duration, for up to 6 times, when resonators in the team cast an Echo skill, Cantarella recovers 6 points of Concerto energy. Echoes with the same name can only trigger the effect once, obviously. When in water, Cantarella's swimming speed increases and stamina cost decreases. Essentially, you can get Concerto energy when she's off field. For her outro skill, Gentle Tentacles, like I mentioned, she amplifies the incoming resonator's havoc damage by 20% and resonance skill damage by 25% for 14 seconds. And for your left and right column stat bonuses, we have a crit rate percentage bump and an attack percentage bump. I know we covered a lot of information with their skills, and I'm going to break it down a little more in the damage rotation part of this video, but all in all you have to know is attack targets to gain Trance, enter the Mirage state, attack targets to gain Shiver, use the nuke skill. If you want the coordinated attacks, use your Resonance Liberation. You need to think of Cantarella as less of a healer and more of a sub-DPS character. Yes, a healing is part of her kit, and that's great, but she functions better as a sub-DPS character. In reality, she's kind of a mixture between Zezha and Brant. Zezha's Resonance Liberation also provides the coordinated attacks, and then with Brant, he has the healing and the nuke skill as well. She's kind of like a culmination of those two. For Cantarella's best weapon options, we actually have a lot of great ones for her, but if you do want her signature, Whisper of Sirens, I think it's worth it. You get a flat attack and a crit damage percentage bump. With this perk from the deep, you get a 12% attack increase. Note this is at rank 1, and casting an echo skill within 10 seconds after casting your intro skill or basic attacks grants 1 stack of Gentle Dream up to 2 stacks. Note, echoes with the same name can only trigger the effect once. Once you reach 2 stacks, the effect will last 10 seconds, and if you switch to another resonator, the effect ends early. If you recall when I talked about her kit, some of her skills and her Resonance Liberation are considered echo skills. This is why it's important for her signature. With 1 stack, it grants a 40% basic attack damage bonus, and with 2 stacks, it ignores 12% of the target's havoc res. If you decide to not go for a signature, I think that's okay because we do have 3 other 5-star options. The first one being the Rhyme Drape Sprouts. We get a flat attack and crit damage percentage bump again, and with this perk Panorama, note this is at rank 1, you get a 12% attack increase when the wielder is on the field. Using your Resonance skill grants a 12% basic attack damage bonus, stacking up to 3 times for 6 seconds at 3 stacks or above. When you cast your outro skill, consumes all these stacks and grants the wielder a 52% basic attack damage bonus for 27 seconds, effective when the wielder is off field. This is really good for her Resonance Liberation because the coordinated attacks are considered basic attack damage and can be used off field. Another rectifier would be the String Master. You get a base attack and a crit rate percentage bump. With this perk, Electric Amplification, note at rank 1 again, grants a 12% attribute damage bonus. When dealing Resonance skill damage, increases attack by 12%, stacking up to 2 times. This effect lasts for 5 seconds. When the wielder is not on the field, it increases their attack by an additional 12%. Again, really good for the coordinated attacks. Your last 5-star option would be the standard Cosmic Ripples. You get a flat and attack percentage bump. With the perk Stormy Resolution, you get the energy regen percentage bump, and when you deal basic attack damage, it increases your basic attack damage bonus by a percentage, stacking up to 5 times. If you don't have any of those 5-star rectifiers, don't worry, there are 2 4-star ones that I would highly recommend. The first one being Augment from the Battle Pass. You get a flat attack and crit rate percentage bump. With this perk Forgiving Resilience, when you cast your Resonance Liberation, it increases the wielder's attack by a percentage, lasting 15 seconds. And the last one I'll mention, Fusion Accretion, where you get a flat and attack percentage bump. With this perk Intergalactic Gaze, casting your Resonance skill grants Resonance energy and increases your attack by a percentage for 16 seconds. For Cantarella's best echo sets, we actually have 3 options depending on what other characters you're using. If you're looking to buff your Havoc main DPS like Havoc Rover or Camellia, do 5-piece Midnight Veil with Lorelei as your 4-cost echo. With 2 pieces, you get a 10% Havoc damage bonus, and at 5 pieces, when your outro skill is triggered, you'll deal an additional 480% Havoc damage to surrounding enemies considered outro skill damage, and grant the incoming Resonator 15% Havoc damage bonus for 15 seconds. On top of that, with Lorelei, as long as you have this echo equipped in your main slot, you gain a 12% Havoc damage and basic attack damage bonus, which is going to be really good for Cantarella. For your general sub-DPS set, do 5-piece Moonlit Clouds with the Impermanence Heron as your main 4-cost. At 2 pieces, you get the 10% energy regen bump, and at 5 pieces, upon casting your outro skill, it increases the attack of the next Resonator by 22.5% for 15 seconds. And the reason you want to use the Impermanence Heron is because once one of its attack lands, not only do you gain 10 resonance energy for your current character, but if you use the outro skill within the next 15 seconds, the next character's damage dealt will be boosted by an additional 12% for 15 seconds. And if you're looking to fully utilize her coordinated attacks, do 5-piece Empyrean Anthem with Hecate as your main 4-cost. No, I would really only use this set if I'm going to be using a character like Jinshi because she benefits from the coordinated attacks. At 2 pieces, you get the 10% energy regen bump, and at 5 pieces, it increases the Resonator's coordinated attack damage by 80%, and upon hitting a critical hit of a coordinated attack, it increases the active Resonator's attack by 20% for 4 seconds. So you will need a little higher crit rate if you want to do this set. And the reason you want to use Hecate is because not only can the skill parry, but as long as the Resonator has this echo equipped in the main slot, they get a 40% coordinated attack damage increase. For our echo substats, we're looking for crit rate and crit damage, attack percentage, basic attack damage bonus, energy regen, and flat attack. For Cantarella's best team options, we actually have a lot more than I thought, but if you're free to play, pairing her up with Havoc Rover and then Baija or Verena as your healer is pretty good. If you're looking for the Havoc sub-DPS team, either Havoc Rover or Camellia as your main DPS with Cantarella and then Shorekeeper as your healer is phenomenal. Obviously, Camellia can't take full advantage of Cantarella's outro, but with her providing the coordinated attacks and the Havoc damage bonus, and then with Shorekeeper with the healing, the crit rate, and the crit damage bumps, this team's pretty good. Even the mono Havoc team of Camellia, Rochia, and Cantarella is good. Yes, you will be sacrificing a little bit of healing, but if you can just dodge and not get hit, you're pretty much set. Having Cantarella buff Rochia, even though it doesn't fully benefit her, the Havoc damage bonus is good, and then Rochia buffing Camellia fully with her Havoc and basic attack damage on her outro is going to be phenomenal. I know I mentioned the coordinated attack team, so pairing Cantarella with Jinshi and Verena is really good. Again, the main thing with Jinshi's kit is that any attacks that are considered coordinated attack damage allow her to fill up her Forte bar even faster, so with Cantarella's coordinated attacks with her ult, Verena's coordinated attacks with her ult, it's going to fill up Jinshi's bar pretty quickly. Plus, Cantarella buffing the resin skill damage, it pretty much does the same thing as Zezha does at the moment, so this team is pretty good. I mean, heck, if you wanted to switch out Jinshi for Carlotta and Verena for Shorekeeper, again, that's going to be a decent team as well. I know Zezha is Carlotta's best in slot, but still having Cantarella buff resin skill damage, provide the coordinated attacks, Shorekeeper with the healing, the crit rate, and the crit damage bumps, Carlotta will still be able to deal some massive damage. Like I said, she's a lot more versatile than I thought, so if you're using her on a team that I didn't mention, definitely let me know in the comments. Now that we've talked about how Cantarella's kit works, her best weapon options, what echoes to look for, and what teams to use her on, let's cover the damage rotation really quick. Now, first up, ideally, you'd want to use the Intra skill because you will get 1 point of Trance, but if not, don't worry, you can use your basic attack 3 to always give yourself 1 Trance point. At some point when you're in the normal state, you can use your Resin skill to give yourself another Trance point. Once you're at 2 or 3 Trance points, ideally, you'd want to use your Resin Liberation here, not only to start the coordinated attacks, but also to gain 2 more Trance points. If you don't have it, don't worry, just keep attacking until you get 4 or 5 Trance points. Now that we have those Trance points, we can hold down our basic attack and enter the Mirage state. At this point, you can use the enhanced basic attack 3 to consume Trance to give yourself Shiver. Again, you only need to do 3 of these attacks to give yourself 3 Shiver points. You can also use her enhanced Resin skill here, which will proc Hazy Dream, which will time stop him a little bit, and also proc Jolt, you know, that extra instance of damage there as well. Once you have those 3 Shiver points, you can now use the nuke Resin skill Perception Drain. Again, during all this, you're going to be dealing damage. You're going to be healing you and your team passively with her enhanced skills and the Perception Drain skill. At this point, you can continue attacking until your Concerto energy is full, and we can use the Ultra skill if you give yourself some more Trance points and Shiver points. Again, that's totally fine. And note that if you are using the Moonlit Clouds Echo set, be sure to use the Heron skill before using the Ultra skill. Like I mentioned before, in all reality, her kit is pretty simple. You attack targets, you gain Trance points, you enter Mirage, turn Trance into Shiver just by attacking, and then use the nuke skill. Whenever you have your Run Liberation and you want to use the coordinated attacks, go ahead and use it. she feels pretty strong for a sub DPS character, which is very nice. The last thing I want to talk about is her resonance chain, and is it worth getting multiple copies of her? Her S1, Embrace the Endless Waves. Casting a resonance skill recovers 1 point of trance. The damage multiplier of all your resonance skills, that includes your regular, your Mirage, and the nuke skill, is increased by 50%, immune to interruptions while casting Perception Drain. That's a big one. Her S2, Surrender to the Elusive Reverie. Her resonance aberration now sends the target into Hazy Dream. Again, that's like the time stop. The damage multiplier of Jolt triggered by Cantarella is increased by 245%. S3, Gaze into the Abyss. The damage multiplier of Resonance Aberration is increased by 370%, and after you cast it, you enter into Mirage. If you're already in Mirage, casting a Resonance Aberration does not activate the Mirage state again. S4, Behold Your Own Soul. When in Mirage, the healing bonus is increased by 25%. S5, Rest in Your Reflection. The maximum number of Dreamweavers Cantarella can summon through her Resonance Aberration Diffusion is increased by 5. And lastly, her S6, Fall, Fall, and Fall Deeper into the Dream. Increase the damage multiplier of basic attack Phantom Sting by 80%. Casting a Resonance Aberration makes Cantarella's damage ignore 30% of the target's defense for 10 seconds for the first 1.2 seconds of Hazy Dream. When the target takes an instance of damage that does not inflict Hazy Dream, Jolt will not be triggered on the target. Overall, I say her S1 and S2 are absolutely worth it, and it's up to you if you want to go all the way to S6. The S1 not only giving you an additional point of trance faster, all of your resonance skills get the increased damage, but being immune to interruptions while you're using her Perception Drain, the nuke skill, is key. I don't know how many times I've gotten hit out of that I feel like S1 is almost a must-have, unless you could time up Perception Drain absolutely right. S2 is your best stopping point. Now with the Resonance Liberation, proccing Hazy Dream, this gives you another instance of Jolt, and it has an increased multiplier with that as well, which means even using your Resonance skill while in Mirage, proccing Hazy Dream, it also allows that Jolt to do more damage, so now we have 2 instances of increased damage that we can now proc on the target. Overall, I say her S1 and S2 are absolutely worth it, and it's up to you if you want to go all the way to S6. But that, ladies and gentlemen, is my Cantarella build guide and kit breakdown. As you probably saw, my overall stats need a little bit of a rework, and I definitely need to continue upgrading her skills, but I'm also upgrading Arrow Rover as well, which they both take the Fleur-de-Lis boss materials, so trying to upgrade 2 characters at once that require the same boss material is kind of a pain in the butt. But all in all, I like her even more than I initially thought. I was going to pull for her regardless because I have Camellia, I have Havoc Rover maxed out, I like using those characters, but realizing that she works with such a variety of teams is really refreshing. Let me know in the comments how your pulls for Cantarella are going, and or if you're pulling for Camellia. She's easily one of the best DPS in the game, so if you don't have her, I would highly recommend looking into her. I am making an updated build guide for her with this update, so be on the lookout on the channel for that. Or are you skipping Phase 1 entirely and waiting for Phase 2 when Shorekeeper is getting her rerun? Again, Shorekeeper is easily the best healer in the game, so if you want to save for Shorekeeper, I would highly recommend it. Or are you waiting to see what characters we get for 2.3? Again, 2.2 is going to be the shortest update in this game to date. It's only about a little more than a month long, so like 4 or 5 weeks versus the regular 6-week schedule. So I can't wait to see what we get in the future. In any event, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to drop a like on it, subscribe to the channel, and turn on that bell next to notifications so you don't miss out on any other woo-wah content we have dropping here on the channel. If you didn't know, we live stream here on YouTube and then also over on Twitch. That link will be in the description. At the beginning of a new update, we have Twitch drops available, so if you're trying to get some Astrite and some extra materials, definitely stop on by. Lastly, if you want to flex your pulls, your echo rolls, some gameplay, definitely join my Discord. We have a woo-wah channel specifically for that content, but we also have a variety of other channels in there, including PC Tech, anime, and more. Lastly, if you want to help the channel even more, you can look into becoming a member. Now, if you don't know what a membership is, it's essentially like a Twitch subscription, but it's technically cheaper. You'll get access to emotes, monthly badges, and the big ticket item, all of my long form videos early. So if you'd like more information, all you have to do is press the join button next to subscribe, and then I'll give you a rundown with all the details you need. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's been your boy. We'll catch you in the next video.